60 Minutes was purchased by Trump supporters and a new person put in charge of 60 Minutes that has zero interest in journalism, 100% interest in propaganda. And 60 Minutes is something we all grew up watching if you're in America. And it was really good journalism. That's over. That's another thing that this regime has tackled. And now 60 Minutes is a safe space for Kanks. And so, of course, he ran over there because Barry Weiss is in charge. And you know your democracy is not in good shape, Pumps, when the president of the United States has to make statements like this. Play the clip.
I think it's a lot of the rhetoric. Look, they call me a Nazi all the time. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite. I'm somebody that's saving our country. But they call me Nazi. They have talking points, you know? They have just talking points. And the press is largely responsible for it. The fake news, what they've done.
Okay, enough. My point is, he had to say, I'm not a Nazi. Pumps.
He didn't say, I am not a Nazi because I am not taking people off the street. I am not rounding up people and putting them in concentration camps. He didn't say any of that because none of that's true. All he says is, I'm not a Nazi, but there is zero follow-up on why he's not a Nazi.
Right. And I think that now Norah O'Donnell and others at CBS know that if they would have pushed him on that and said, why do you think they're calling you a Nazi? And don't you think it's a real indictment on your administration that you're even having to sit down in this chair and look in the camera and say that you're not a Nazi? And then his word salad follow-ups with they have talking points. I mean, it's so anti-intellectual. It's so fifth grade level, Pumps. It's just, okay, next up. This is just the shit where this guy is a total sociopath, you guys. He's a psychopath / sociopath in the throes of dementia meets psychosis and victory lap, in your face, I'm richer than everybody and I can do whatever I want. And it's just on full display. And here he is talking about ICE, and this is just so cruel. Play the clip.
Recently, Americans have been watching videos of ICE tackling a young mother, tear gas being used in a Chicago residential neighborhood, and the smashing of car windows. Have some of these raids gone too far?
No, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
You're okay with those tactics?
Yeah, because you have to get the people out. You know, you have to look at the people. Many of them are murderers. Many of them are people that were thrown out of their countries because they were, you know, criminals.
Well, you promised in your campaign that you were going to deport the worst of the worst. Violent criminals, rapists.
Well, that's what we're doing.
But a lot of the people that your administration has arrested and deported aren't violent criminals. Landscapers, nannies, construction workers,
landscapers
farm
are
workers.
criminals. Yeah. Now, look.
Okay, I've heard enough. He literally just said, Pumps, that his administration has a handle on landscaping criminals. I mean, this is insane. But I mean, Pumps, he says he doesn't think they've gone far enough. And we've all seen kids getting zip tied, people slammed to the ground, preachers hit with these pepper ball type bullet things. And the way that he is acclimating the American public to violence projected onto them at his command is so dangerous. And 60 Minutes used to be a final place of accountability where the questions would be, why are you doing this? Even some of these people are U.S. citizens. The majority of people now that you have in ICE custody have no criminal record versus those that do. So you're lying, Mr. President. But he would have a stage 5 meltdown. He'd sue 60 Minutes. Then they'd pay more money because we can't have nice things anymore because all of these morons want to bend the knee to that moron.
Well, and also it's like, okay, that's not far enough. So what's far enough? And then Mark Esper, the former Secretary of Defense, comes into my head where he said, shoot the protesters in the knees. And also the statistics on the criminal, like fight back on the criminals. You know, a traffic ticket is not a violent criminal. U.S. citizens, and a lot of these people that they're taking have legal status. They may not be citizens, but they have legal status. And he's acting like they came out of the insane asylums. I mean, it's just fucking crazy.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Kylie, let's skip down one. He still doesn't understand that people seeking asylum
He never will.
is different from people that are in insane asylums. He doesn't understand the difference. He fundamentally hasn't understood the difference for a long time. And he does like association. When he hears insane asylum, he remembers the hit movie Silence of the Lambs and thus Hannibal Lecter. I don't know if he said Hannibal Lecter in 60 Minutes. It could have been cut, but here he is with his confusion over those seeking asylum from violent governments like ours now, and those who are in insane asylums. Play the clip.
Are we going to war against Venezuela?
I doubt it. I don't think so, but they've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want. People from prisons, they emptied their prisons into our country. They also, if you take a look, they emptied their mental institutions and their insane asylums.
Okay, enough. I mean, okay, here's the thing, Pumps. We're going to sit here and play all these clips. I feel, and I just saw this morning, his polling is the worst ever it's ever been out of Trump 1.0, Trump 2.0. He is so underwater. This whole song and pony dance here of Joe Biden's terrible, insane asylums. I can do whatever I want. The press is mean to me. Fake news. It has got, I mean, we're all sick of it, but he has no other game than this. And it is old and it is tired and it is not working, which is why this next clip really needs to perk everybody's ears up, because he's been habituating all of us to this idea, which means he's going to soon do this. Play the clip.
Tuesday, while speaking to American troops in Japan, you talked about U.S. cities that are having trouble with crime. And you said, if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard. What does that mean, send more than the National Guard?
Well, if you had to send in the Army or if you had to send in the Marines, I'd do that in a heartbeat. You know, you have a thing called the Insurrection Act. You know that, right? Do you know that I could use that immediately and no judge can even challenge you on that? But I haven't chosen to do it because I haven't felt we need it.
So you're going to send the military into American cities?
Well, if I wanted to, I could, if I wanted to use the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act has been used routinely by presidents, and if I needed it, that would mean I could bring in the Army, the Marines, I could bring in whoever I want, but I haven't chosen to use it. I hope you give me credit for that.
Okay, he's going to do this. This is what he is going to do. And Pumps, here's something that I think is interesting. I was reading a lot about authoritarians over the weekend and Hitler. And a lot of them find, you know, this common enemy to unite behind. And for Hitler, it was the Jews, which was based on, you know, centuries of anti-Semitism, of people saying that the Jews killed Jesus, and then a bunch of other stereotypical tropes. So in the United States, a country of immigrants, and you choose immigrants to be your unifying item of hate, I think he's going to have a more difficult time. And as he has a more difficult time, he is going to break things. And that's where I think this Insurrection Act is going to come into place. And you have somebody like Zoran Mamdani, who represents what this country is, with two caveats. The stereotypical immigrant of the United States is white Christian. Right. Zoran Mamdani is every bit as an immigrant as our ancestors are, or maybe somebody, you know, from Western or Eastern Europe that might migrate over here. But he is brown-skinned Muslim. And so the more people have spent money trying to demonize him and boogeyman Zoran, the more it's backfired. Yeah. So it's really interesting. And the more all of this backfires, and then I hear him say this Insurrection Act, and I can do it if I want to, give me credit that I haven't yet. What's your take on that and making he's choosing what is the heart and soul of America as the unifying enemy, and that may itself be what dooms him.
I mean, fingers crossed. The thing when he started talking about the Insurrection Act, I'm like, why didn't you call up the Insurrection Act on January 6th? Because that really was an insurrection, but that's here and there.
Because he ordered the hit.
Well, right. He did it, but whatever.
Right.
But I think that his supporters who continue to vote against their own interests, they say, well, it's only going to be the criminal illegal aliens. They demonize these people. And then they find out, no, it's their gardener, it's their coworker, it's their coworker's spouse. And so now when they're realizing not only is his campaign promise a lie, but they're taking people that are important to them, I think the hatred and the judgmental entitlement of even people that are, white Americans generationally here, I think they're going to say, she has been in my family for 20 years, babysitting my kids or whatever. So I do think this will turn the tide. And here's the thing. He is so pitiful. Everything about this administration is so pitiful. If they would have gone through it and, instead of using a chainsaw, they would have used a butter knife, they could have had better results, but they can't do that because it's the authoritarian is all about showing power.
All he had to do was ride the restoration that the Biden administration did to the economy. Right. It wouldn't have fixed the problems for the working class, the underlying underbelly issues, but the trajectory was good. But I just think it's really rich that the guy who ordered the insurrection is then going to call probably to retain. He tried to use an insurrection to keep power, and he's probably going to use the Insurrection Act to keep power. Right. And what an indictment on the American public that after watching January 6th, that they went and voted for him. In a civilized society, it's just, it makes me so sad that so many Americans saw what happened and saw cops get beat up, and people take a shit in the Capitol and they do rah, rah, sis, boom, bah. I'm a patriot. I'm a Christian. And then they witness that and then they go vote for that. Okay, moving along. Here is Kanks, you guys. He does not understand what it means to be working class. Truly, this is the man who says that he thinks the word groceries is an old-fashioned word.
A new phenomenon.
Yeah, this new thing called, or this old thing called groceries that's old fashioned, nobody really buys anymore. Here he is, and this is just a basic misunderstanding of what it means to be working class. Play the clip.
Just hit an all-time high. We're doing really well.
Can I ask you, Mr. President, on that point, though, when the stock market is doing well, that doesn't affect everybody. Not everybody's invested in the stock market.
It does.
But there have been grocery prices are up.
401ks. People have 401ks. Their 401ks are double what they were a year ago.
But for people that don't have 401ks or are not invested in the stock market,
but
they've seen their grocery prices go up, inflation.
No, you're wrong. They went up under Biden. Right now, they're going down, other than beef, which we're working on, which we can solve very quickly.
Okay. Listen, you guys, he doesn't know anybody that doesn't have a 401k. He doesn't know one person. And it's important to note that for people like Kanks, when he files bankruptcy and when he goes through hard times, it's not the same as a person right now that works 40 hours a week, that makes minimum wage, that can't afford childcare, that works at Walmart. And then the U.S. taxpayer has to subsidize the Walmart workers' pay because we favor the Walton family living rich and doing well more than we do the American workers. So then that American Walmart worker has to get subsidies from SNAP. And a 401k is something they will never, ever have and might not even know what it is. So this is just a basic misunderstanding and absolutely no reference point in his 95 years on this earth that he knows somebody. He doesn't know one person that doesn't have a 401k. And then finally, I want to leave you all with this. Here he is just making shit up, which is always, his default setting. Play the clip.
I mean, I could go point. These are not 80-20. These are 99-1 issues. and they don't change. I just watched this morning a
Mr.
show
President,
where...
can I ask you about the economy?
Just one thing. I watched a show this morning where a very well-known Democrat congressman was fighting like hell for men playing in women's sports. They don't change.
Who
they don't
was
learn. I don't want to tell you.
But he was on TV.
Okay. He doesn't want to tell you because it didn't happen. And,
Right.
And every time for the Republicans, when they are losing and on the economy in my lifetime, I have never witnessed a Republican president not wreck the economy. They have every single time Republicans wreck the economy. So now he is using this culture war issue, which worked really well for him,
Right.
which is this trans issue. And so he has to make shit up because he knows what's coming from Norah O'Donnell. And so he can't, of course, name the source because he probably, somebody told him that, and he hasn't seen it. And the problem with this guy is he is a 1 to 2 trick pony, and
Right.
his tricks are running out, and his approval rating is registering accordingly. And this leaves us in a very dangerous place, this Insurrection Act.
Well, here's the deal. He appointed people that are yes men that will do whatever the fuck he wants because they have no conviction and they're cowards and they only care about themselves. That's Pete Hegseth. That's Kristi Noem. Little Marco. All of these people are in positions of power and have continued to stay in positions of power despite abysmal, incompetent work because they will do whatever the fuck he says. So get ready.
All right, that's all we have for this episode. Like, subscribe, Pumps, do the book at the same time. Support our show by buying our book, Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. It is linked right below in the show notes, and we will be back later with more news.